welcome to episode 5 of The Fix. Now, today's show is a slightly different vibe, mostly because Glenn was away all week, so we're filming this on a Sunday, so we're not stepping away from copywriting duties to talk to you about copy, stepping away from weekend duties. My wife is also out, so I'm currently in charge of 2 children, one of whom is supposed to be asleep, but I can hear him. The other is watching the telly downstairs. So this may have a slightly looser feel to it, but we will press on nonetheless.
What's he watching?
He's he's watching Paw Patrol. He's watching Paw Patrol, which will mean nothing to you.
Oh, Paw Patrol. Yeah, no, I am familiar with that. Yeah.
I've made him a den. He's massively into Spider-Man, so I've made him a Spider-Man's lair. He's got like a kid's Kindle thing that he can play games on, and he's got a mince pie. So I reckon that'll do us for at least 10 minutes, and then he will come into the room.
The mince pie is 9 minutes alone.
Yeah, should be fine. Nobody said copywriting was glamorous. Well, loads of people have said copywriting was glamorous, but this is the reality of being a copywriter. 2 frightened men worrying about a child interrupting them. Let's jump straight into the copy. I've got just one piece of copy to review this week, but it's a brilliant one. I'll tell you the backstory behind it as we go. But first of all, why don't we read it? So I'll bring it up on screen now. Glenn, can you see my screen?
I can, yeah.
Good, right. The headline says, "You don't have to have a bad back, but it helps." Hesed, I hope I'm saying that right. Hesed is a radical innovation in sitting. The reason she looks so different is because she is. Cy Friedman was an osteopath and inventor who became obsessed with solving our sitting problem almost 30 years ago. Over the years, Cy noticed a steady increase in the proportion of his patients with sitting-related aches and pains, and his research led in 2010 to the then controversial title of his PhD thesis, "We Are Not Meant to Sit." As an inventor, he decided to find a solution to people's sitting problems. 10 years of design, prototyping, and testing with his team of experts followed, as did winning many awards, including Invention of the Year at the World Invention Show with an early chair prototype. The result, now manufactured by his company Hesed Design, is the Hesed chair. We'll let the people who sit on Hesed explain. I took to it immediately, and the change is rather unbelievable. It worked like a miracle. For the first time in months, my mother-in-law has been able to stand up from a chair by herself and without pain. After 3 weeks sitting in Hesed, my back pain has gone. The pain in my lower back has improved immensely. Honestly, blown away. I cannot thank you enough. Genuinely, thank you. The selection of comments above are from Hesed converts who've had back troubles. The copy does go on in that vein. However, I thought it was quite a rich piece of copy. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. We'll talk more. I can bring it back up on screen later if we wanted to kind of workshop it, but I'll tell you the backstory of this. So I'm going to use his name because it's in the copy and he's the owner of the company. So Cy wrote to me and Glenn telling us his backstory, but he didn't submit a piece of copy. Can't remember why. I think he just, he said, "I'm really excited. I've got, I've got all this stuff going on." But then at the end, he said, "Oh, I don't want to share it with you yet." And I sort of piqued my interest a little bit. So I clicked on one of the links in his email, just in the footer, went to his site. And I was kind of fascinated by it because it's this, I'm going to call it a strange looking chair, but I mean strange in the sort of singular sense, interesting. Now, as you may have noticed if you've watched these videos carefully, I use a standing desk. I constantly have back pain. Sitting down, standing up, I think if you're, it's probably not uncommon if you're a writer, you're churning out maybe 20,000 words a week. I just don't feel like there's a way to wear that without it hurting somewhere. So I was instantly piqued my interest of the product itself because it kind of looked cool and some cool stuff on the website. So I wrote back to Cy and said, "Come on, submit us some copy." So he has. And the reason I tell you that story is because, well, one, I was instantly compelled by the idea of the chair because it speaks to me, somebody with back pain, somebody who's constantly thinking about that, somebody who is constantly looking for answers. I've got the standing desk. I don't know if that is the answer. I think that's important because while there's lots of good stuff going on in this piece of copy, and we'll get to it in a minute, I think it's a piece of copy that gets stronger as it goes on. Perhaps we could start it a bit differently. We'll come back to that. But this is a great piece of copy for us to think about the broader idea of emotional pinch points, pain points for your reader. Now, that can be a physical pain point, as in this case, a bad back, or it can just be an emotional pain point. So in the financial industry, it might be, you know, I don't understand what's going on. People keep telling me the markets are going to crash, but they keep going up, and that doesn't make sense to me either. That's an emotional pain point. The same sort of thing. It's something that's keeping your reader up at night, literally or figuratively. If you have a chance in a piece of copy like this to talk about a pain point directly, I would say do that every time. There will be no better way of starting your piece of copy in such a way that makes the reader understand that you feel their pain. And that's what this piece of copy needs. It doesn't say the word you at all. It has great testimonials. It has great credibility, a hint of backstory. But it needs to just start with, you know, how does it feel when you wake up every day and your back hurts and you've got to go to your desk and sit and work and yada, yada. There's so many ways into that story that are better than, it, you know, what was the opening line? You don't have to have a bad back, but it helps. That takes the pain point and makes a joke of it. Not a good joke, and I don't mean that facetiously. You know, it trivializes it. It's probably a better word. Let's not trivialize it. It's serious stuff, and we're probably going to ask for a reasonable amount of money for what we're selling. You know, with a product like this, it's not going to be cheap because it's a high quality product. So let's take it seriously and let's start there. And that's why this piece of copy is missing. Glenn, I don't know if you've ever had a bad back. You must have. You must have had something. You must be.
I am back pain and its environs. No, back pain is like, for me, so I go to like a masseuse, I don't know what the right word, quite often. Regularly, I need to book an appointment actually this week because my shoulders are killing me. Ruth keeps lambasting me because I've got a terrible chair that I've not got. I've got like a pseudo lumbar support now, and I've got. I used to just work on my laptop, but I'm quite a tactile writer, where I like to kind of be literally caved into the screen, but I realized I'm getting older and slowly falling apart and I can't maintain that. So I've now got like things raised up. I've got like pads and strange stuff to try and do that. So I have a massive problem personally. This is quite reminiscent. So one of my past partners had a terrible back pain situation where she slipped, had a slip disc. It kind of, it wasn't even a slip, it kind of blew up. It was just not good and required like hardcore, like serious help kind of thing, which cost thousands of pounds. And one of the big things here I definitely want to get to, and it's already speaking there, but that experience of the other problem that you didn't mention there, but you probably felt it, is that back pain, I know anecdotally, is one of those things where everybody has their own little experience or their own answer of it, and everyone's trying to find what works. Like I can remember down in London, I was trying with a stand-up desk, didn't kind of find a suitable, that probably hurt me more, and I was overweight, and kind of that probably didn't help in itself. But so all of these things, but then when my old partner had thing, would get in a taxi and they'd notice that she was struggling, and then it'd be, oh, my mate down here does this, and then you'd get into a restaurant, it's my mate here does that. So as you say, you've got a massive opportunity here, and I didn't feel when I was looking again, because I'm a weird person, everything I look at, I'm thinking, how does that sell? How does that work as a marketing thing? And the marketing world in that world just didn't really, there's too many pictures of like older people kind of going, oh, the happiness, or like a red dot on the knee pain, or at the lumbar region. So it's just all kind of, it's become a bit staid and a bit cliche, the kind of language around back pain and stuff. So I think there's massive opportunity. But yeah, what I would say, one of the things that got me earlier on, and I wrote about this in my book actually, which is why I remember it quite well, and I used it as the section on testimonials, because it was only the testimonials that finally gave us a way to like find the right thing, because it was real people talking about their experiences, and that tied up with what we were searching for, kind of thing. So I think testimonials is a big thing here. The writer, the business there has already got them, so that's great. But as you say, my first thing straight away, I've written the comedy headline a bit weird. As you said, there's just no need to do anything else other than come in on the emotional like hook and the pain point of I know you feel this pain, kind of thing. And like there's so many ways you can do that. I just straight away thought that most people will be sat reading that email. If you're sending an email or you're searching, you'll probably be sat, as you're describing it to me, I'm sat here thinking, yeah, I'm sat in pain on a bad seat and I literally need the new seat. So I'm reading that email going, are you sat on this seat in pain? It's like, yes, I am. So I'm immediately hooked. So there's so many like ways in. You don't want to undermine it with a comedy kind of opening. There's just no need. It's like, I thought of an analogy of like, you spend as a copywriter so long looking for like urgency and like deadlines and fake deadlines and trying to like attach your thing to a deadline. It's like having the deadline already and then not even bothering using it. It's like, oh no, this literally closes tomorrow, I can't do anything about that. Here it's like, no, you are really suffering. There's people, it's straight away, I've got the solution. So you can straight away go into that.
You could literally go in on the first line. I mean, we could swap out that headline for one of those testimonials, or because the testimonials were extremely strong there and told little stories. There was one, if a reader or a customer describes your product as a miracle, it worked like a miracle. For the first time in months, my mother-in-law has been able to stand up. It worked like, okay, somebody says something like that to you, you've got to consider that as a headline. So I'd consider getting that up there, right? Possibly as a carousel, so where they rotate through. And I think I'd just open, what if there was a way of making your back feel normal within the next 2 weeks? Well, there is. It's a chair, and it was built by someone who's won the award of Britain's Inventor of the Year, is a former, is it osteopath? Is that there? I can't remember the technical term. Okay, so let's be really economical, just cram it all in, make our claim, make our promise, back it up with some credibility. And perhaps even then you could say, so why should you buy this now? Or why now? Well, when was the last time your back felt normal? Or if not you, maybe your partner, your brother-in-law, your friend. Everyone has a bad back now because the pandemic forced everyone to work at home. Offices generally have decent chairs. We used to have decent chairs. We shared an office. I know tons of people that, like friends who are fairly, I would say this is a silly decision to work at home for 2 years on the sofa in front of the telly or something, who now complain about their back, and you think, well, it's your brain that you need looking at before your back. That's your problem. But the point being, it's like a silent epidemic. And we know this. Everybody knows somebody or has a bad back. Somebody that has a bad back or has a bad back themselves. So you could just get into it. So you maybe don't need to agitate.
Yeah, it kind of ties in with that immediacy of this piece of copy, and a general point, because I feel like we've spoken a lot. We certainly spoke in the last episode quite a lot about stories and the power and the importance of stories and working people into copy, and especially with longer copy, you generally go for a more indirect thing where it is that story and you're establishing that. However, what you do need to do, and this is a more general copywriting point, which you just should do as a basic thing, is figure out who you're writing to, but also where they are at that point in their experience in their life. If you think about this, if I'm suffering from back pain, and I know this is a fact, I am desperate to sort it. Like there is no I'm not looking for a new pair of trainers and figuring out whether I want blue trainers or red trainers and going to mull it over a few days. I mean, I'm just anal when it comes to buying trainers and do way too long. But literally, I am like, no, I am in pain. I need to get this sorted now. So I feel like we've always been like story. This is a case where it's really not about that. It's about just getting the information, because that reader is coming to you going, they've probably actively searched for this. There's going to be a higher percentage of people arriving to your copy who are looking for this solution, rather than kind of wandering around and going, oh, that's interesting. There will be that amount of people, but even so, if they've got a bad back and they see a direct headline that relates to that, they're going to be swayed by that anyway. But I would just be aware of, get straight into it, because they are desperate, and it's like you want to get that language in of, you already know. Like I say that with all copy should be essentially written as though you've already made the sale, and it's just bringing that person in. But with this one, it's like, I know you feel this. You mentioned it, Nick, earlier on, but I'm just going to tick it off my notes. The third person, it was that piece of copy, it just was all third person and didn't kind of speak to you, the reader. Which
get
is
the
just,
word you in, just get it in.
Yeah, and then the she is was strange. I think, are we calling the chair a woman? Is that what that was?
I think
it just was a bit unnecessarily weird, that I was kind of like, it just stopped me. That goes back to the old driving test analogy, where it's just like, yeah, like I'll carry on, but I'm still kind of like, that's weird. Like, and I don't think you need to get to there first, which leads me to probably another just overarching point about copy is, and it's weird because I remember you explaining this to a marketer once who wasn't getting what we were trying to do, and they said, I can't remember what it was, and it was something like, I think it was like a call. We were selling, let's say one of the bonuses of something was a call with the editor or the owner of the product, and they said, oh, but you haven't said it's a call, it sounds like it's a meeting with them. And it was like, yes, that's the point. It wants to sound like what it is, like the bigger thing of it, not what it actually is. It's literally just a call with someone, but that is a meeting with someone to talk to them or what have you. In this case, it's almost, don't get me wrong, we're selling a chair, but you're selling the end of back pain. You're selling the solution to the problem that you've got, and this constant annoyance, this constant niggle, this constant laying in bed, just go, oh, that really pissing me off kind of thing. And linked to so many other stuff, you're selling at the end of that, not a chair. Like the chair is just how that manifests itself. So I think you need to remember that when you're writing this copy. Don't get so bogged down in the she is, i.e. the product is this lovely thing. It's like, yes, it is, but further down, first of all, sell me what the idea is, kind of thing.
I mean, we say it so often, but just check how many times it can be a reductive piece of advice. And I've been given this as feedback in a piece of copy that I wrote, like use the word you more, where I was like, well, it's not, what do you mean more? You know, like I've said you throughout, you know, so I found it quite irritating sometimes, but like just as as a copy principle, if your piece of copy doesn't use the word you once, but it uses we, I, she, you know, all these other, then that's something's wrong there, right? There's only two people that matter in this piece of copy, I would say. One is the reader, the prospect. Always, you know, we come back to this again and again and again. This is one of the slightly rarer situations where the creator, so his name is Sai, because he has two killer pieces of credibility, former osteopath and inventor of the year. Okay, I want him in there not because he needs to talk about himself too much. I would strike the stuff about the PhD just from its place there. Maybe it could go somewhere else in the copy, but as an ad or a headline, something that says Britain's inventor of the year has found the answer to back pain, or could solve your back, you know, whatever that second. Okay, I am interested in that because inventor of the, okay, this gets credibility. Do you know what I mean? It's why should I listen to you? Well, I won inventor of the year and I was an osteopath or chiropractor. Sorry, that's complete. We've used completely the wrong word throughout. Sure, it's chiropractor. You know what I mean? So though he has the answer. This man is credible, has independent verification of that credibility, and he solves a problem for me, which is a highly emotional and painful problem. All we've got to do is get from that to that. That's your sale, isn't it? It's all contained in that information. So we've got to be super economical and this is almost something where you kind of want to be writing kind of Facebook ad style things, you know, where you've got you don't have a word limit in Facebook in the same way anymore, but you know what I mean? Google ad type things where you really don't have a lot of space because we can cram it all in there. And then we've got to, and then you can get to the bullets later, you know, the details of the product and how it was built and all that sort of stuff.
Well, it's funny.
Right, I'm going to switch my camera off and I can hear something going on downstairs.
You go and think, I will
Do
take
a monologue,
yeah.
and I'll be back in a second.
I'm going to come back. When I come back, I'll just be holding a skull like this. No, but what I was going to explain was when I personally experienced this stuff and was shopping around trying to find someone to kind of help, is that Nick mentioned there the osteopath versus the chiropractor kind of thing. There he is again.
I'm back. It's fine.
I wanted to have a skull in my hand, so I was doing a soliloquy and just to handle it. But no, I was just saying, you mentioned the chiropractor and osteopath. It would, by the way, it would have been funnier if Thomas or Noel had just come back. But yeah, so you mentioned that word and that confusion, and that was the problem. You will find when you investigate and research back stuff, a load of people will say that you go to an osteopath. A load of people will say you go to a chiropractor. They're kind of, the NHS kind of sways you to one thing. Everybody's experiences of both are different. So I can remember one of my mates saying, oh no, I went to this osteo thing and they did this and it was perfect. It was a person who went to chiropractor, clicked it out and what have you. Other people say. So that made me think of two things. First of all, this copy is a bit, I know the story you've said to this side chat that just get something down a paper, but depending where you are, for the little kind of attraction adverts, yeah, just get to the point. But when you do actually have to like fill it up, maybe the landing page for the product page or what have you, one thing you want to think about a lot with this, once you've got that initial attention and you've made that connection, that's going to be great and that's going to get them down to the actual copy. But then in that copy, something we've not talked about much, but a little bit, but your objections here. People are going to have a lot of objections. They're going to arrive frustrated going, I've tried this, I've tried that, I've tried this. So you need to kind of already be thinking that they're going to have been told that they should go to chiro, they're told that they go to an osteopath, they don't know which one they should go to, they don't know if they should be doing this, lumbar support this, X, Y, Z, all this kind of stuff. So you need to think of all the objections that people could have. Don't just dismiss a chiropractor or an osteopath. Side might have his own like feelings on which one you should use, that's fine, but kind of acknowledge that, oh, you've probably been told this and there is benefits in that, but this is where this comes in. In fact, this chair has the benefits of both or whatever kind of thing, but just you need to be thinking about when you get into the meat of this copy, all of those objections, because I think it's the advantage of this is that you get your attention for free kind of thing. It's you're just getting that. You can't, well, at the moment with that silly headline, and I'm sorry to be harsh, but like with that comedy, you're risking losing it. You shouldn't have that risk. You literally go, have you got back pain? Yes, I have. I'm in. Tell me more. I'm giving you 3 minutes. So you've got your attention is free with this piece of copy and with this product, which is very rare. However, it does mean you are disadvantaged because most people will be at least to some extent researched when they arrive at this. So it's not selling them going, oh, I'm telling you this secret thing that you don't know anything about. They're literally coming at you with a little bit of information, which is often the worst thing, but you need to kind of think about all of these little bits of nuggets that they've been told, rectify them, improve them, change them. So it's how is someone there? It's like when people arrive on a contact us page on a website and you start saying all of this nonsense about things. It's like they literally want to contact you. Give them the contact details. They've been around the website, they've done the thing. Why are you writing all this stuff? Go on most contact page and you'll find these lovely florid sentences saying this thing. No, think about where the user is. They want to contact you by this point. Start speaking to them in that vein. And it's the same here. They're arriving because they've done their research and they're bloody frustrated and like want to know that, so you need to speak to that. So think about all the objections that they'll have already done.
And actually, I mean, by the way, it's stuff like this that makes me love being a copywriter, because what copywriters want to work with is great products that clearly meet a market need. And, you know, most of the copy that I write tends to be in an industry we have to work a little bit harder to explain what it is that you're selling. It's not a chair, it's an information product. And as Bill Bonner used to constantly say, or this phrase is repeated, that nobody wakes up in the morning and thinks, oh, I need to buy a new newsletter, or we're out of newsletters. However, with a product like this,
Sorry, I've not bought a newsletter today, actually, Nick. I need to.
Yeah, my daily
Sorry.
quota. But so it's a great product. But just to, probably to step away from the copy for a second, but to think about into the realm of marketing, which we should be careful about, because we're not marketers. But I do think that we've kind of talked through our whole pitch here. We're going to get their attention with something a bit more direct, either a testimonial or a claim. I have the answer to your back pain. We're going to use problem, agitate, solution. So we're just going to say, I feel your pain, and remind them of how bad a bad back can feel. Say, I think I've got the answer, but you don't need to listen to me. You can just listen to people who've already bought it. So you prove using your testimonials, bang, done. Then you do what Glenn says. Think of every objection somebody might have. It's probably not the first product like this that they've bought or considered. And by virtue of the fact that they're still looking, the first one or two or three or four didn't work, did they? Otherwise you wouldn't be here. So you've got to deal with those objections. The final one would be make an offer, a really, really compelling offer, because we can condense everything down with this. And really, what I would be doing with something like this is I would go and look, as a slightly off-piste reference, I'd go and look at the world of mattress marketing, because the way mattresses are sold online is similar. It's a similar sort of vibe and claim. Okay, it might not be directly about bad backs, but they're kind of in that ballpark. And the way mattresses are often sold is just have it for 30 days and send it back if you don't like it. Now, it depends on the size of your business and the scale you're operating at. But if you believe in your product, you probably need to come up with a compelling offer or guarantee that gets that product into your prospect's home. And if it's as good as you believe it is, and we've no reason to believe it isn't, then that's a sale made. And you might have to take a risk on the guarantees, and you need to monitor things like that. You need to be really careful. But if you can get that right, that's how you close that sale. You take the risk off them. You say, look, if maybe you've heard all of these claims before, well, I understand. And here's how I've dealt with that issue. The most compelling one would be have it for 30 days. If your back doesn't feel better, send it back. That might be not too compelling. That's the wrong phrase. That might not be viable for the size of business or operation that you are. And I completely understand that. But you need to think about those things, because we can go straight from claim through. We can make a promise, we can prove it, we can deal with objections, we can lay out the price, probably quite easy, because how do you put a price on a fixed back, or how do you put a price on your satisfaction and happiness at your desk? You need to make an offer, and that's your sales piece. It might only be a page and a half of copy, but we can cram it all in.
I was just going to say on the price bit there, Nick, as you say, the bigger cost of helping you back, but you also, another bit of ammunition for the writer here for the business is that mattresses, that's a really good thing. Look at the cost of high-end mattresses. Look at the cost of how much it costs to go and get massaged each week. Look at the chiropractors and what have you. This stuff is expensive, and firsthand, you can. I don't know where this price point is. I think it's quite an expensive chair probably, but you've got so many good price comparisons to bring that comparative cost right down. So if you can basically start from, say, well, it would cost you $4,000 to go to a chiropractor for the year, or you can pay £1,000 for this chair, but in fact we'll just send you it, so don't even bother giving us the £1,000. Then you massage that whole thing straight down to the bottom, where it's like, done, thank you very much. So you've got a lot of nice price comparisons, which is where you should always, as a general copy point, try and look for, when you're around that pricing zone, how do you compare it to something that it is much more but wouldn't give you as much benefit. So it's really compelling stuff. I hope it works. You'll have to send me the link, Nick, because I do actually need a new chair. Although I want a stylish one, because I'm an idiot. So that's my current problem. But that's another objection. How do you overcome that stuff?
It's a cool looking thing. I mean, it wouldn't be for everybody, because it doesn't look like a normal chair. But then I saw that as a benefit. I mean, it doesn't look bad. It just looks. It looks like someone who's looked at the problem differently and said, well, what if we did it like this? But those products are fantastic. Yeah. And we'll wrap up after this point, because I am getting worried about my kids. and my wife watching this back one day thinking, you were supposed to be looking after the kids and you went out and watched the football afterwards. So you did not, you just did work and put them on the sofa. You know, if your product looks completely unlike your competition, what do you charge for? You know, you've got an open playing field, right? The offer, it's almost, I don't even call it a chair. So it's no, this isn't a chair. This is X. The price, the delivery, the guarantee, everything can be fresh because you're out there. And that, just to go back to the original, that's why it's fantastic to work with inventors and product makers, because they might not always have the sharpest marketing brains, because in general, you know, they've optimized their life and their skill set is different. But if they're genuinely innovative, and this is one of those great cases, then you get to work with a product that doesn't exist anywhere else, and you get to kind of own you get to own that playing field. And yeah, so it's fantastic. So I mean, I'd love to. I will send you the link. Si, if anybody else gets in touch with me about this chat, I will pass them on to you, commission free. But no, it's fantastic, and I'd like to see more copy like this come in from product owners, inventors, people like that, because I mean, I love working on all sorts of products, but I have a sweet spot, and I don't know, there's just something I love about working with somebody who's made something, created something themselves, and they just need to find that audience for it, because it's just very satisfying when you get it.
I would say actually as well, just for Si the writer, obviously thank you for sending it, but though not the strongest copy, knew kind of where the pieces were. He knows its testimonials, knows its credibility, knows there's that backstory to it. So it's not like you're just walking around with this brilliant product and can't sell it. You know where that is. It's just about thinking about, kind of comes down to it, the product or the reader, or rather both of those. It's just that two ends of the spectrum. That's all you need to think about. At the moment, you're just a little bit around the product and kind of wavering without really explaining it, but just connect that to the reader and bang, you've got magic.
And by the way, you do get this quite often, just a slight, we used to call it clearing your throat before the sales pitch begins. You get that with people who aren't comfortable writing or pitching. And that's most of humanity, right? That's why copywriting is its own specialist skill. But just that sense of like, oh, I don't quite know where to start. Whereas sometimes you just got to go bang. What I do is brilliant. It will change your life. It will make you happier. And you should buy it now. You get a bit of that vibe in and hit them with it. And sometimes that's all people need. It doesn't come across like that when the person reads it. You just feel like it will. Anyway, let's wrap it up there. The email address you need to send us copy, and please do send us your copy, because without your copy, we have nothing to talk about except ourselves, which we would love to do every week, but nobody would like to listen to that except ourselves. So
sellotape dispenser as well. That's what we talk about if you don't send it.
Email us at feedback@longcopymasterclass.com. Any copy, whether it's copy challenge, whether it's, you could send us your product. I don't know how to sell this. How should I go about it? That's fine too, however you like it. And I have thrown out the idea that if you work for an organization that doesn't want to have their copy reviewed publicly, we will do a private one of these for you. So we'll film a copy review on your copy, but we'll only share it with you. But you got to write to me at feedback@longcopymasterclass.com to talk to us about that. Completely free. I mean, I don't know why we're offering it really, just more and more of our time, but well, I do know it's because this is great fun and we like talking about products. We like talking about offers. We like talking about copy, and gets me away from the kids. On that note, let's sign off and we will see you all next week. Goodbye.
Goodbye.